Hello, Arya. Before the Grand Prix, we have the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. So, what can you tell us about it?
Right. So for those of you who are still unaware, for the past weekend, the Mandalika International Street Circuit was also home to the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. So this is a young racers competition which competes 21 young racers from across Asia for the chance to be able to be promoted to a higher level of motor racing. So earlier this month, the Asia Talent Cup had a race in Qatar, which makes Mandalika the second series in this year's cup. And in Mandalika, we saw 5 young Indonesian racers. That is Veda Ega Pratama, the fan favorite, who previously snagged a podium spot in the race in Qatar, as well as other racers include Reikat Fadilah, Aan Riswanto, Diandra Mahardika, and Zakri Akbar. Sadly, though, Veda Ega Pratama was unable to compete in yesterday's and today's race due to a wrist injury, so he's been sidelined ever since. Reikat, however, managed to exceed expectations and was able to reach a podium spot at number 3 yesterday. As for today, he landed himself at 7th place. After Mandalika, though, our racers will have a well-deserved summer break. The IATC will eventually return around this September with back-to-back rounds in Japan and in Thailand.
All right, Arya, before we talk about the main race, let's talk about the weather right now there in Mandalika. It is raining right now, yeah?
Right, yeah, it is quite rainy. Maybe you've seen the footage of the rain shaman trying to prevent such rain. Actually, the rain at some point delayed the MotoGP race for quite a bit, but eventually it did start back up.
All right, so let's talk about the race. So, who is on the pole position and how it's going so far?
So, well, first of all, we want to say that the race day did get off to a good start in terms of the weather, at least, because at some point, it actually got so hot that the Moto2 race was cut short to only 16 laps. But just a few hours ago, the circuit was hit with some major rainfall, and that rain actually delayed the final MotoGP race. But eventually it did resume, however, with some, albeit more slippery tracks. In the end, though, Miguel Oliveira of Red Bull KTM snagged the first position, the first podium, and followed by Fabio Quartararo, the fan favorite, and also Johan Zarco. In addition to that, probably the biggest news so far is the fact that Marc Marquez had his fifth or fourth injury at this point. He suffered a nasty crash that resulted in a concussion, making him have to skip the previous race. So he's out of the running, sadly, because even though he's like Indonesia's obvious fan favorite. Now, speaking of fan favorites, we do have our own homegrown racer in Moto3, that is Mario Aji, who made history yesterday by being the first Indonesian racer to start at the 3rd grid position in Moto3 after his spectacular qualifying performance. However, for the race today, Mario finished in 14th place, not as good as his qualifying performance, however, still better than his Qatar race performance. So overall, it's been a great weekend here for Indonesian racing fans, and we can only hope it'll keep getting better and better. Back to the studio.
All right, thank you, Arya Siddhartha, for your live report from Mandalika International Street Circuit in Lombok, West Nusa Tenggara. Stay healthy and stay safety, of course, and hopefully everything will be fine for Mark Marquez.